Hi, are you an about to grad in any of our universities today? I know that top of your mind is the issue of job. How do you get one? How do you fit into one? And not just an available job this time around. I'm talking about the desirable job, the job you desire. Now, there are so many factors that will determine whether you get your desired job or not, but at least 5 of them are very important for you to understand as an undergraduate or as an about to grad. And so we'll talk about 5 of them now. 5 factors to consider as you're about to graduate from school and looking for jobs. So let's do it. Number 1, your certificate. Well, there was a time when certificate was enough tool. It was a strong enough tool to get you your desired job. But today, the story is different. And the reason is not far-fetched. A lot of people are competing with you. They are brandishing the same certificate you are trying to brandish by the time you graduate. Now, this might actually shock you. In 2017 alone, the NYSC mobilized 300,000 core members, graduates. In 2017, 300,000. In 2018, it became 350,000 graduates mobilized into the labor market or the favor market, as some optimists might want to call it. Now, the question is this. If you think having a first class is all you need to do to get that particular job, then ask yourself if your first class is truly the first. Okay? The point is that certificate is no longer enough to get you a job in today's workplace. You need so much more. As a matter of fact, there is a dilemma for HR managers and headhunters today. When they make an announcement or they put out an advert for potential candidates for vacant positions, and what do you have? You have about 200 or less or more first class or 2-1 materials vying for the same particular post. Now, this is where the challenge now comes in. When you have about 10, 15, 20 equally qualified candidates for the same job, all of them brandishing either first class or the second class upper, how do you decide on who to pick and who to drop? Meaning, it calls to something much stronger than certificate. Meaning, HR managers and hiring managers, as the case may be, look for something much more than your certificate. So if you think your first class or your 2-1 is all you need to get that job for you when you're done, I am sorry, you'll be shocked when you graduate. There is so much more. Number 2, ICT, technology. That's what I mean. It is competing with you. It is taking your jobs. Jobs are vanishing. And by the time you are out of school, by the time you bag that particular degree and you qualify either as an accountant, an engineer, a medical doctor, or whoever you might actually, graduate to be, jobs, some of them will have vanished. Because jobs are vanishing every day. No thanks to technology and Internet of Things. Several years ago, people were employed as duty continuity announcers. Yeah, for those of us who grew up in the 80s, in the 90s, and even early 20s, you will be familiar with DCAs, duty continuity announcers. And what was their role? They were the faces you see when a TV station is just, beginning transmission for the day, and they come up intermittently to tell you, next on the line is this, the next program is this. Oh, you remember some of our daddies and mommies will remember. But today, we don't need them again. They don't exist. There is no post anywhere in the world, in the broadcast sector, called duty continuity announcer. Why? Technology has replaced that, okay? Programs are already pre-programmed. TV or broadcast programs, they are already pre-programmed into the machines, such that as one program is ending, another is starting immediately, rendering all the DCAs in the world as at that time useless. That is why today we are not having it. Even today, the jobs of accountants as we knew before are changing. Your job as an engineer is changing. Your job as a medical doctor is changing. Your job as a pharmacist is changing. By the time you graduate from the university, you will be competing with technology. And don't forget, robots don't have the exercises that you have as a human being. They don't go on leave, they don't fall ill, they don't eat, they just work. And when they get damaged, they can be replaced. Components can be replaced. And so by the time you are done with school and you want to say, oh hallelujah, I am now a fully qualified accountant, be careful, technology might have wiped that your job role away. So you need something more than that. Number 3, for those of you who are considering a career change, maybe you have a particular job you're doing. This one does not apply to undergraduates anyway. I am talking about those who are employed but maybe not gainfully employed, and you're thinking of changing job. Now be careful. Your past success might be your biggest obstacle as you try to make a career change. What do I mean? Sometimes when people work in a particular environment and maybe they are stars in that particular environment, and they believe that stardom will carry them to the next phase in their job set. It doesn't work that way. You may be a star in a particular office and not that much of a star in the next office. What I'm saying is that every success that you have accomplished in your previous job is a potential candidate for failure in your next job. If you're not careful, you must have the humility to understand the fact that your new job, the new job you are vying for might demand special skill sets that are completely different from the ones that made you a star where you are coming from. So if you're not careful, your past success will be your biggest undoing in your next job. So humility is the name of the game. Number 4, are you a creative perfect fit? Be careful. You may be a corporate misfit. Now, how do I mean? There are some of us who work in, creative subsector, okay? And there you are allowed to probably dress the way you like, because the more of a contrarian you are as a creative person, the more visibility you sustain. But this doesn't work like that in a corporate sector. And that reminds me of a particular time I was invited to a job interview. And I felt, okay, I could, of course, I knew I should dress decently, but what was generally acceptable as a standard of, dressing where I was coming from, in the creative sector, was not acceptable. I just went with my, my jeans, my t-shirts, and my blazers on. And then when I got there and I saw how others that were competing for the same jobs with me dressed, I realized I was already a corporate misfit. I had an answer to the interview questions right from there. What I mean is that I knew my chances were actually slim, because I saw others who were competing with me and they were decked. They were completely decked from head to toe, while I just dressed like the creative person I actually was that time. Now, many of us forget that we are not all Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs could appear anyhow for any job interview because he has actually paid his dues. He has established his own identity. So if he liked, he could wear just any t-shirt anywhere. The same thing goes for Mark Zuckerberg. He could go anywhere, anyhow he likes. But you can't afford that luxury. Why? You are not known. Nobody knows you. People know Steve Jobs. Nobody knows you. People know Mark Zuckerberg. Nobody knows you. What have you done? I'm sorry. Nobody knows you. You're still beginning to do things. So you can't afford to dress like them. No. You've got to study where you're going to and look at how they dress. What is acceptable here. Even though I had the luxury, I had the privilege of being told that dress sense is part of what they will be judging, I still went my way, believing that I should, be different. Yeah, being different is okay, but not being different to the contrary of what is expected, what is allowed, or what is permissible in your new place. Okay, that's number 4. Don't be a creative perfect fit, but a corporate misfit. Number 5, the Japa syndrome. I know many of you want to, leave the shores of this country. You are hoping to finish schooling, and if possible, right from the first day of graduation, you want to get out there into the Western world, to the US, to the UK, and what have you. You want to go. Why? Because you have heard now that there is brain drain. But let me just tell you this. They don't employ idiots. With due respect. The Western world does not employ idiots. There are skill sets you must have to even qualify for JAPA in the first place. That is for some of us here who are trying to, further footing abroad and probably relocate. What I'm saying is this: there are certain things you have to put into consideration. You've got to up your skill, because when you are going out there to work, you're going to be competing with those who are far more qualified than you to do certain things. Let's not forget that our school system here, unfortunately, does not prepare you in any way for what is to come. The syllabus we run within the 4 walls of most of our tertiary schools are not in any way preparing you for the world of work. I have met with mass comm students who could not communicate. When was the last time your car broke down and you took it to the mech engine department of a school nearby? You know, it doesn't work that way. You would even see mech engine professors bring their cars to the town for repairs, meaning knowledge is not flowing from gown to town, as the case may be. It is actually the reverse. It is going from town to gown. That's an anomaly. So if you are thinking of relocating, if you're thinking of finding your footing anyway, because after all, the world is now a global place, then you must be ready to upskill, okay? And so those are 5 factors you must consider if you are in school and you're about to grad, you are thinking of getting a job, or you are just trying to change a career. So I'll go over them again. Number 1, your certificate is not enough to get you that particular desired job. You need so much more. Number 2, jobs are vanishing because technology is taking your place. Robots are replacing you. You have to do so much more. Number 3, beware of your past status, because your past success might be a setup for your next level, okay? It might be your biggest undoing as you try to move up to the next level. And then if you are a creative perfect fit where you are at the moment, be careful. You may be a corporate misfit in your next your next spot. I mean, in the next place you are hoping to get employed. And if you're thinking of relocating, you already call the Japa bug, as we call it in Nigeria here. Be careful. They don't take idiots, okay? In the next part, I'll tell you about an upcoming program which is meant to address all this.